All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to How to Master SQL DBA with TK. And as you already know, I'm TK himself. If you are new to our YouTube channel, this is the channel that we post all our videos about SQL. So without talking too much, let me open my notepad and see what we got going on today. Oh yes, today we have a huge project. We are going to create always on AG groups, always on availability groups. So just a quick recap. Most of the things we have done so far is related to this project, right? For example, we created the window failover cluster. We also created the two virtual machines, right, that we created. They are all related to this project. Remember the standalone virtual machines, SQL 01 and SQL 02. So please, for you to really understand what we are doing, if you're new, you have to go back and rewatch our videos and rewatch all these videos because you will be able to connect all the dots. All right. After saying that, let me hop on what the overview of the project looks like. This is the overview of the project. So it is saying that let's create an AG group called AG HDC01, HDC01, yep, on SQL 01. Then let's make SQL 02 the replica. After we do that, we add a listener. Oh, in the process of doing that, let's add a listener called listener 01. And also, let's add Adventure Work Databases 2016 to 2022 to the AG group. And also, let's keep those databases in read-only in the secondary. I know those are a lot of big grammar, big things, especially if you're not used to AG groups. You hear replica, you hear listener, you hear all this mumbo jumbo. Let me try to explain to you what is going on before we start the project, right? So, what is always on high availability? Like the name refers, right? Always on high availability. It's simply a server that they want it to be always on and highly available, right? So it's just self-explain. It explains itself. Let me not cut my tongue saying that big grammar. So it explains itself, right? So Microsoft understands that sometimes your server cannot be available all the time, right? Because disaster occur, you need to have a maintenance window to run your patching. Things happen. So they came up with this great idea called always on that, hey, let's join two servers together, right? For example, we are going to join SQL 01 and SQL 02. SQL 01 is going to be the main server, but everything you do on SQL 01 is going to replicate on SQL 02 so that if SQL 01 goes down, you can just switch to SQL 02 with very little impact to your services, right? That is the whole goal of always on high availability, right? Just in case you want to, let's say, patch your server so you can fail over you can fail over to the primary. You can fail over the primary to the secondary. Then you patch the primary and you do it again. Or if it's a disaster, let's say something happens, right? The networks are out or some kind of earthquake destroy your data center. Everything just fail over to the new server, which is the primary, which is the secondary. Then you can resume with your production. Because remember, there are some servers that cannot be down for long, right? There are some servers that have to be up and running at all the time. An example for that can be like a banking system, right? You want your bank card to be working all the time. You don't want to go to the store and swap your bank card. Like, oh, you can't swap it because, the servers are down or something happens, right? So that is an example of a highly available or highly transactional server because they need that update. Once you buy something with your card, you go to the store, you buy gas, that update has to go in the system and process as fast as possible. So that is the best way I can explain always on. Now let's do a demonstration and hopefully you will understand better with that demonstration. First thing first, as usual, Let me go to my Hyper-V and check. Everything looks good. The domain is running, SQL 01 is running, SQL 02 is running. Because always on piggyback of Windows cluster, let's check our window cluster to make sure that these two servers right here are up and running, because these are the two servers that we are going to use for always on, right? So let's go to our domain, because that is where our cluster is found. Let's click on the domain and we click on our server manager right here. Then we go to local server. What are we on local server? We wait for it to come. Okay, it's taking some time. What is going on? I cannot see my cluster. Why is the cluster? That is strange. Click here. Click back on local server. That is strange. There you go. Finally. I was like, oh, what's going on? Okay, here's the cluster right here. So let me click on the cluster. This opens up. Once this opens up, right, there are a couple of things that I'm looking at, right? I'm looking at it right here. The cluster has 3 nodes, right? I'm looking at the status of the nodes. You see 3? 3 means all nodes are up. So that's a good sign. Let me click right here. I'll click on that. I come here, and it says everything. All I want to see is up, up, and up. It tells me that all my nodes are up and they are good to go. If for some reason yours doesn't say up, it says down or quarantine, right? All you have to do is click on whatever, right? If this, for example, this says like down, just click on it, then go all the way to your right, all the way down to where it says more action, click on it. Then when you click on it, it should give you the option to start your services. I can't start mine because mine is already running. But let me stop my services and I'll show what I'm talking about. You see, now SQL 01 stayed down, right? I'll come here, click on more options, then start my cluster services. Sometimes I have to click it multiple times. It says joining, it stayed down again. I'll go back again and start the services again. Sometimes you have to do it multiple times for it to join. Now it is up and good to go. Alrighty. Hopefully, if you have issues, that is able to resolve that issue. If not, right, there's another radical way you can do it, right? We can come here, we can evict this cluster, we can evict this, then rejoin it. Evicting simply means that we are removing it from the cluster, then we can add it and hopefully it resolve that issue. That's another way that you can resolve a cluster that is having issue. All right, that being said, let me close from here and I'm done with the domain. Now let me go on SQL 01. I'm on SQL 01. Let me click. So I'm on the server. Let me click to connect to the instance, right? I click on my yellow box, this other yellow box right here. Not the yellow folder, the yellow box. So my SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. So you don't confuse which one I am on. All right. This opens up. I want to connect to SQL 01. As you can see here, that is the wrong server, right? That's SQL 02. So go to this drop down and switch to SQL 01. Yes, right server now, window authentication and Shiloh trust server certificate and connect. Now that we are in here, how do we configure our always on high availability? Good question. You go to your left side where it says always on high availability. You click on the plus sign. Oh no, you see that? There's a big box with a big message. What does it say? It says the future, the always on feature must be enabled on the server instance this. All right. I'm not going to read all this grammar. All what this big grammar is saying is like we need to enable the always on future. Next question, how do we do that? If you remember correctly, I showed you a long time ago, but I'm going to show you again. You go to your red box, right here in the bottom, your configuration manager. You click on that box. You say yes. Once it opens up, remember, you come here where it says SQL Server, this one right here that I'm showing you on the screen. Right click on it, You go to properties. Once you're in properties, you click on always on availability groups and you enable it by clicking that box. Now it's checked and you click OK and apply and OK. Yep, just like that. And to be sure that everything is good, we can restart it right now. Okay. And also remember, what did I say a long time ago? That for us to configure always on, the two servers have to be running on the same service account, which we changed a long time ago. So we are good on that part. So now, if I go back, let me close from here, just close. Now I'm back on my SQL instance 01. If I hit OK here, I come here and I refresh. And I go back and I click on the plus sign. Yes, you see that? Now it's giving me the option to configure my always on. But if I click on this one that says availability groups, there is nothing there because I haven't configured any availability groups. How do I configure availability groups? Good question. You right click on where it says always on availability groups. Right click. Once you right click, you click on where it says new availability group wizard. Once you do that, this box opens up and if you want to read all this, that's fine. But if you trust me, just hit next. Now you want to give it a name. What is the name of your availability group? Remember, we said let's call it AG, capital letters, AG, AG dash HDC01. Very simple. So we're just going to call it availability group Houston Data Center 01. Very simple name. Then now I also like to check this box that says database level health detection. All right, we can check that and we hit next. Now this is important, right? Remember, I want to put 1, 2, 3, 4 databases on these availability groups, but it's telling me something right here. You see, it's saying that full recovery mode is required, but the first one that I don't want to, it says meet prerequisite. So a little bit of explanation. To configure, and again, it's an interview question. To configure high availability, there are 2 requirements for the databases that is on that group. One requirement is they have to be in a full recovery mode, and another requirement is this databases need to be fully backed up. So if you are missing any of those requirements, it's going to show right here, right? It's going to say, hey, they are not fully backed up or it's not on a full recovery mode. Why is it supposed to be on a full recovery mode? Because with high availability, it's going to be pushing transaction log backup from your primary server to your secondary server. All right. With that being said, let's go and change the recovery mode of these databases to full. Let's go here and click. So let's start from 2022 or walk out with 2016. Right click, 2022. Let's go to properties. Open it up. We go to options. Then it says simple. We do the drop down right here and switch to full. And we click OK. Just like that, we are done. Go 2019, properties. Go to option, then we click the drop down, switch to full, and we click OK. Again, just like that, we are done. We do the same thing for 2017, properties, options. We do the drop down, switch to full, and OK. And we do the same for 2016, properties. So we again right click, properties. By now, you should be a pro. We go to options and we do a drop down, switch to full, and we click OK. All right. And just like that, we have changed all the databases to full recovery mode. Now let's refresh. Let's click on this and refresh. We have refreshed everything. So now let's restart the process of our, let's go here and let me go back one and let's go next and see. So it's not picking up. So let's cancel. That is fine. Then we go back here, refresh. and start the whole process again. We're going to click, or right click, sorry, go to Availability Group Wizard. Then we go next, and we give it a name again, AG-HDC01. Then we select our database health detection. We go next. Now it's telling us something else. It says full backup is required. Even though we know that we took some full backups, right? But it's telling us that full backup is required. That is fine. Cancel from here. Just cancel. And cancel. And open up our databases again. Open it up. And let's just do quick full backups. Very quick. Just right click. Go to task. Go to backup. And just do a backup because we already know everything is good. Just hit it's in full mode. That's fine. Backup. That's it. Done. Come here. Right click. Go to task. Go to backup. Click on backup. And we know everything's good because we verified the last time. Hit OK. And just like that, it is done. Then right click again. Come to task. Backup. And verify. And hit OK. OK. That's good. And do the last one. Right click. Come to task. Backup. Verify everything looks good. And OK. And OK. Now come back here to always on high availability. Refresh. Then click on it again. Right click. Then go to new wizard. Hopefully everything is good now. Right? All right. Let's click next. And again, give it a name. It's AG-HDC01. That's the name of our group. Also, let's check the health of our databases. Click here. Finally, you see that? It now says made prerequisite, made prerequisite, made prerequisite. So finally, it's letting us move forward. So let's click, check this one, check this one, check this one, and check this one. So we are doing Adventure of 2022, 19, 17, and 16. Let's hit next. Once we are here, this is a very good point, a good place to be. All right, let's drag this right here. Now, we want to choose a replica. Remember, this is the primary. Where do we want to replicate? If you remember, our ticket says that let's choose SQL 02 to be the replica. So the first thing you want to do, connect right here. Click. Now, it says SQL 01. Do a drop down, go to SQL 02, and you hit connect. Once you hit connect, we have an issue. Are you seeing that? It's saying always on is not enabled on SQL 02, meaning that we have to go to the red box on SQL 02 and enable our always on. That's fine. Let's just come over here, click on our remote desktop, verify we are going to SQL 02, and we connect. All right, so it takes us to SQL 02. It's going to take a few minutes. Okay, that's fast. Now we are in SQL 02. Once we are there, let's click on our red box, the configuration manager. Click on it. Then you click yes. This opens up. You know where to go, right? Over here, right click, go to properties. Then click on always on availability groups. Now enable this by clicking that box. Then click apply and click OK. Then click OK again. Then click OK. Then just to be sure, what I like to do, I like to restart the services. Let me restart it right now. So just wait for it to restart. And once it restarts, then it says stop services. All right, starting services. All right. Okay, once I'm done here, then I can log out from here, right? I can just click here and I can disconnect from here. That's fine. Disconnect. We're done. Just like that. Now we are back on SQL 01, right? Click OK. Now let's try to connect again, right? So you see, connect. Just like that, we are now in. No issues. You see that? we are now in SQL 01 is the primary, SQL 02 is the secondary. Yay. Okay, now you are seeing all this big grammar right here. You see asynchronous commit, asynchronous commit, right? What does that mean? Good. What this means is if you drop down here, you have another option that is called synchronous commit. If you drop down here, you have another option that is called synchronous commit. What's the difference between asynchronous commit and synchronous commit, you may ask? Here's the difference. Synchronous commit, right, prioritizes performance. Why? Asynchronous commit prioritizes performance. Why? Synchronous commit prioritizes data integrity. You're like, what's that? What does that mean? It means that when you put this in asynchronous commit, remember, you are pushing data from the primary server to the secondary. When it's in asynchronous, it pushes that data into this secondary server without waiting for that data to be verified, right? It just like take. It just pushes, like keep pushing that data. But once you change it to synchronous commit, right? What it does is it pushes that data, waits for this server right here to acknowledge the data and ensure that that data is good before it continues. So it's just the time, right? So there's a little bit of difference because this with synchronous, it has to wait for acknowledgement before it continues. That is the big difference. Again, sometimes it's just a few seconds or just a few, it can be a minute, but again, that's a long time, right? When you're dealing with huge data, it might be a little bitty time. So if you want something that is performance, you just want something that you just want to push your data, we can leave it in asynchronous. But if you want something that you want to verify that your data is good, you leave it in synchronous. So in my environment, right, what we do is always on asynchronous, right? But when we want to do a failover, we switch it to synchronous. So that is something else that, every environment is different. Also, remember in our ticket, they were like, oh, the secondary, how do we want it? We want it to be readable only. So readable only, what does that mean? It means that in the secondary server, you can do a select statement. You can query your data. You can read it, but you can't do anything else. You can insert, you can delete, but you can read the data and see what data is in there. Alrighty, so let's click now on where it says endpoint. Endpoint, everything looks good. We leave it at that. Backup preference. Okay, this backup preference, where do you want to take your backup, right? That's what it's saying. So automatic backup for this server group will occur on the secondary replica. If there's no secondary replica available, backup perform at the primary. So I'll leave it at this right here. But you can always change it where you want to take your backups. But for me, my environment, I'll leave it at this one right here. But you can choose based on your environment. Alrighty, so let's click on listener. Good. Now we need to create a listener. So just say it asks, do you want to create a listener? So what does a listener do? You might ask. What a listener do is it listens to this as it entails, right? Especially when you have app users, like people connecting to your server using applications. What it does is when your server fail over to when the server fail over from the primary to the secondary, the listener can in turn tell those app servers or redirect those app servers to the new server. That is what it does. So listen, like, okay, it's listening and waiting. What happens to see what's going to happen. When that happens, then it can inform your app users that, hey, something has changed and this is the new connection route. So yes, it's very important to create a listener. So click right here that says create a listener. Now, what is the listener name? Our listener name is going to be AG-listener01. That's better listener, right? That's fine. 01. Okay. And our default port is going to be 1433, right? And let's give it an address. You click right here. Now we want to give it an address, static IP address. If you remember correctly, Do you remember your IP address, the one that we're using, right? So for mine, if I remember correctly, it should be 172.24, which is almost this numbers right here. Then mine should be 0.224. Mine should be 104, if I'm not wrong, because yes. Okay, if I remember correctly, right, the IP address for the domain was 100. Then for SQL 01, it was 101. SQL 02, it was 102. Then for our cluster, it was 103. So now I'm giving this 104. So I'm talking about the last numbers right here, right? That is how I'm giving them. Then these numbers stay the same. So please, if you remember your numbers, just do the same. Now click OK. And what else should we look at? Let's look at read-only routing. That is fine. Okay, let me see if I missed something. Let me go. Our backup presence, our endpoints, our replicas. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so everything looks good. Let me see if I have the option. I'm changing this to manual. Nope, not here. Let me see. Okay, everything looks good. Let's click OK. Let's click next. All right, so let's look at this right now. What does it say? It says select your data synchronization preference. Automatic, it says SQL Server automatically create database for every selected replicas settings. I always choose this. We always choose this in my environment. Again, your environment might be different, but for this training, we are going to leave it at automatic settings. It says full data and log backup. Start your synchronization performing. No, we don't want this. Let's leave it at that. Go next. And now it's validating, it's checking. Everything looks good. And we click next. And we click finish. We wait for it. What we are waiting is to see a message that says that everything is good. All right, good. This is what you want to see right here, right? If you see this, it means everything succeeded successfully, right? Succeeded successfully. That's the correct word? Yes, it is. All right, so you close from here. Now, let's refresh this. Let's just refresh this and go to your databases. You see right here, it says synchronize, right? That is a way of telling which database is available on always on. Remember, this one right here is not an always on, so it's not synchronized with anything, right? So, and also, if now I go under my availability, this one right here, always on high availability, I click on that. I click on availability groups. Now I have an availability group right here. You see that? That's the name, and that is the primary. If I click on it, now I click on this again, I have the primary and I have the secondary or the replica right here. So, and the replica is SQL02. If I right click right here, I can connect to SQL02. That's it right there. Click connect. This is SQL02. If I go to databases, you will see that these databases are now showing on SQL02, and also they are synchronizing. This is what you want to see when you're always on. It means that all the data that is here is syncing with the data that is here. When you see not synchronizing, it's not good. It means that there is a data loss, right? It means that the data on the primary is not going to the data in the secondary. So your goal is to make sure that your data is syncing. So for right now, everything looks good. Everything looks perfect. And our class was successful. This is a huge project and it was wonderful. All right, so we'll stop here for today. But during our next class, it's going to be another big one, right? Because when you create your always on, you still need to know how to add a database, how to remove a database, how to stop your data if you don't want your data to go in there. So you still know how, you still need to have like an overlook of the whole always on, because just creating always on is not good enough. You still need to know, for example, if they're like, hey, we need you to remove this database from always on, we need you to add this from always on, or if you come here and this is not synchronizing, how do you resolve that, right? So you still need to know those things as a SQL DBA. So during our next project, we are going to look at that. All right, stay blessed. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something. Bye bye. See you next time. I'm out.